Tuesday the 11th of September. I had my Bunion operation yesterday and all has gone absolutely fine. So my left leg, I had to wear a surgical stocking. This is to help prevent DVT, deep vein thrombosis. You have it on throughout the actual surgery and whilst you're in the recovery bay, which is only for an hour or two, and then it comes off. So I've only put that on for effect to show you today what it's like. It's pretty uncomfortable and it's very tight. So that's just a temporary thing and not a fashion statement I would recommend. So this is the wonderful shoe they send you away with. It's really cool. It's let's get that right. It's fashioned so that you, in theory, can't walk on your toe. I can't actually film this and me walking at the same time, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. But basically, you put all your weight on the heel, and you can put all your weight on the heel because it doesn't put any weight on your toe, which of course is where the operation happened. It's a pretty cool thing. It's not brilliant to walk in, but you know, it gets you about. You can hobble about indoors with this, and you can rock on it, which of course you're not supposed to do, but you can put your whole weight just on the heel, and you can walk absolutely fine. It's a really cool thing to do, and of course it means you can go out. But for the first day, I'm just going to stay in with my feet up. I'll show you that and how I do that in a moment. They say keep your foot elevated, so when they say that, they generally mean off the ground. I did, well, in a better situation to have it hip height, but in a perfect world, if you can do it, have the foot above your heart. It's all to do with blood flow, and the higher you can have your foot, the better. Now obviously that isn't a hugely practical thing for most people to do. Fortunately for me, it's a perfectly practical thing for me to do. I have a bed that the head and the foot move up and down, and so I can actually sleep with my feet very high, and it's a very comfortable position to sleep in. So this is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I had planned for today, just to be laying here on the sofa. I've got everything at arm's length. I've got my computer, I've got my son's phone to muck about with, I've got magazines and puzzlers, I've got my crutch. Oh yeah, they give you crutches as well. I've got my tea and another drink, a cold drink. I've got the sewing to do. I've got the phone right there, and I've got the phone in my hand. So I have everything to hand here, and I can just lay on the sofa. But things took a sinister turn yesterday. I'm not in any pain whatsoever. The foot is simply tight, and it's kind of a cross between pins and needles and uncomfortable. It's not painful though, it's just tight. I feel as if I took the bandage off, it would be fine. But just before I went to bed last night, I noticed this. Whoop, Velcro. Gets stuck on everything. I'm bleeding. So that took me by surprise because the operation was here. So why would I be bleeding there? Anyhow, so I thought, well, it's only a little bit of blood, I'll leave that and I'll fix it in the morning when I'm feeling more up to it. But then, because I've had my feet up, anyone that came in, it's like Piccadilly Circus here yesterday, anyone that came in the house pointed out to me that I was also bleeding underneath. And this is a little bit more worrying. There we go. So again, the operation was here. This is where they've cut. So why is the blood there? And that must be a fair bit of blood because look how thick that bandaging is. I mean, it's, you know, I've got an inch or so worth of wadding or bandaging of, you know, various different types on there. So for the blood to be so much and there, not so much here because I can see the toe obviously, but you know, it's a little bit worrying. Anyhow, I've just had my follow-up phone call. They ring you the next morning to find out how you are, and I said, you know, I'm bleeding, should I be worried? And she said, well, don't worry, she said, but we do need to clean it up and sort you out. So I have to go all the way back to Torbay, not the most convenient place to get to, so Mum and Dad have agreed to drive me. And they're going to change my bandaging. So that's really cool actually, because as I say, there's no pain at all, but it feels really tight. It feels as if I've got an elastic bandage just scrunching my foot, and it feels as if they take that off, then my foot would just go and breathe, and it would be really much more comfortable. So I'll actually find out whether that's the case later, which of course I wouldn't normally do for 2 weeks. So they've sent me home with loads of cocodamol and ibuprofen. The surgeon has actually asked me to come off the ibuprofen as quickly as possible, a week maximum, but if I can come off it within a couple of days, he would prefer that. He is of the thought that ibuprofen hampers the healing of bone. The nurses weren't in entire agreement with him on that. So the compromise is, yes, I could have the ibuprofen before the operation, which is standard yesterday, and I could take at least a couple of days worth if I have to, or a week's worth. But so far, no pain. The cocodamol I'm going to try not to take too much of, because of course it has the side effect of bunging you up, and as I'm going to be inactive, that's two things that are going to hamper my my digestive system, and I don't want that to be the case. So I'll keep taking my stick of licorice every day and the different cereal, the high fibre cereal, but if I can stay off it I will. I'm guessing the reason why I have no pain at the moment is because I still have the after effects of the anaesthetic, because yesterday I couldn't feel from about here downwards, but now I can feel all this, and I can feel all this side. Can't feel that. I can feel all this side. I can feel here. Oh yeah, I can feel all of this. And then from about here, I can't feel anything, but I'm not entirely sure whether that's the anaesthetic or because I've got so much padding there. Could just be the padding. I've got so much padding. This is just one piece of bandage. Oh dear, shouldn't have done that. That's just one piece of bandage. But of course there's something else underneath here which I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, pleasantly surprised, no pain. It's just uncomfortable. It's just pins needly uncomfortable. So I will spend the day, well I would have done, apart from the fact I've got to go to Torbay Hospital, like this, with my foot in the air. And this immediately putting my foot up like that relieves it. I can feel it just draining, and that is so much more comfortable. So yeah, there's definitely something about keeping your foot in the air. So the higher you can keep it, the better. As I say, ideally elevate it above the heart, which fortunately I'm able to do. So I'm just going to lay here all day with all my bits and pieces around me, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow, I suspect, and show you my nice clean foot, minus the blood. Oh, and tell you what's underneath it, because of course not many people get to see that at this stage. Normally your dressing isn't changed until 2 weeks later. But there was some confusion prior to me actually having the operation. Firstly, about the ibuprofen. The surgeon seemed to be the only person that thought that it hampered the healing of bone. So they had this discussion with me there, and eventually came to a compromise about that. Then I asked why in all my pre-op assessments I was not having an ECG, because I am 50, and it used to be the standard that anyone that had a general anaesthetic had an ECG. And I was told no, that wasn't necessarily nowadays. I presented as fit and healthy. I had no concerns. I'm not diabetic or a smoker or particularly overweight, so they didn't feel the need to do an ECG. However, when I went into the pre-op room and I was being prepared for the anaesthetic, I was given an ECG. Also, whilst I was there, the nurses tried to give me, or tried to monitor my blood pressure, but the anaesthetist insisted that they didn't monitor my blood pressure. I'm not sure why, but she, was adamant. She insisted. that they didn't do it, and somewhere along the line the machine set itself off and automatically went to monitor because they'd already put the cuff on, and she made sure it was turned off. So I'm not quite sure what that was about. The anaesthetic, I don't know how long it would have taken to wear off naturally. They woke me up about 2 hours later. I must have gone under somewhere between 2:30 and they woke me up somewhere between 4:30, and I was offered cup of tea and toast. Which was lovely because I hadn't eaten since 8 o'clock, well, just before 8 o'clock in the morning, so I was absolutely starved. So, yeah, everything went well, and the staff were absolutely wonderful. Everybody was in such a good mood, everybody was so helpful. It was just, all in all, quite a pleasant experience for saying I just had my foot chopped to pieces. So anyhow, I'll catch up with you tomorrow and I'll let you know what the outcome of today was.